Hey there guys, and welcome to Dirt Road Believer. I got off work early today. We had an early release day at my school. So I am out enjoying the pool, and I just kept going over this devotion in my head. So I was like, why not just film it now? So here I am by the pool filming. Sun is out and it is absolutely beautiful. So let's get into it. I'm going to say something today. You know, as a teacher, there are things I have to bite my tongue, I have to keep from saying, but when it comes to this devotion today, there's just something I need to say about how education is trending, and I think now that I've been in it almost 30 years, I'm qualified to say some things that I'm noticing in education. The story that we're going to get to today, the parable that Jesus gave that we're going to get to, is in Matthew 25. So go ahead and turn there with me. And it is the parable of the 10 talents. Now, there are a few things I want you to notice about this parable. You may have heard devotions, sermons on this passage many times. You may hear it from a financial standpoint. You may hear it from a stewardship standpoint or an accountability standpoint. That's what's so awesome about the Word of God. You can read the same passage and get many different dimensions from the same exact passage. That's how sophisticated God is, okay? He can give you 1,000 words and you can take it for many different directions. So, I think a bug flew in my mouth. Nope, it wasn't a bug. So today we're going to look at this. This is what jumped out at me reading this parable this time, is we're going to look at it from the standpoint of expectations. As a Christian, what are some expectations that God has for us? What are we, what does He want to see from us? And by the way, there's no higher expectation than what comes from God. We're going to see that too. So there are three things that everyone has. Maybe we have them in varying degrees or amounts, but we all have them, okay? Number one, we all have time. I had a friend that turned 100 this week. She has a lot of time, a lot more than a lot of people. We all have abilities, natural God-given abilities that we possess. Mine may be different from yours. Yours may be different from someone else in your household. But we all have abilities. And then the third thing we all have are resources. These are things that we have been given by God to utilize. It could be, again, in varying degrees. It could be, finances. It could be relationships. It could be partnerships. These are all things that don't necessarily have to be material things, but resources that God has given us. So, let's think about that as we move into this passage. So I am in Matthew 25, and I'm going to start in verse 14. Let me grab my glasses. All right. For it is just like a man about to go on a journey. He called his own servants and entrusted his possessions to them. First off, we don't own any of these things. Time, abilities, resources, they belong to God. We are managers of these things. So he calls them over. He gives the first one 5 talents. This is an amount of money. To another, he gives 2 talents, and to the other one, 1 talent, depending on each one's ability. See, God gives according to what we can be responsible for. What we have shown we can be responsible for. We can ask for the moon, but He knows how well we'll handle it. So they were giving according to their what? Ability. And as far as the timepiece goes, he was about to go away. This man was about to go on a long journey. So he went on his journey. Immediately, the man who had received 5 talents went. So immediately, he did not waste any time, because we all have limited time, he went right away and he put the 5 talents to work and he earned 5 more. So now he has, do the math, 10. Good job. But the man who earned 2 right away, immediately, no haste, he went off and he earned 2 more. So now he has 4. But the man who received 1 talent went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, so they've all had plenty of time with the resources their master entrusted them with, the servants came and settled accounts with him. The man who had received 5 talents approached, presented 5 more talents, and said, "Master, you gave me 5 talents. See, I've earned 5 more." His master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Share your master's joy." Then the man with 2 talents also approached. He said, "Master, you gave me 2 talents. See, I've earned 2 more talents." His master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You are faithful over a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Share your master's joy." The man, come, let's celebrate. The man who had received 1 talent also approached and said, "Master, I know you. You're a harsh man, reaping where you haven't sown and gathering where you haven't scattered seed. So I was afraid, and I went off and hid your talent in the ground. See, you have what is yours." He didn't come back with any more, right? He was given according to his abilities. He had abilities, maybe not the same as the other 2, but he had abilities. He was given what he could be responsible for and what he could grow. And in the time that he was given, he did nothing with his. Let's see what the master says to him. His master replied to him, "You evil, lazy servant. If you knew that I reap where I haven't sown and gather where I haven't scattered, then you should have deposited my money with the bankers, and I would have received my money back with interest when I returned." He's like, you had an easy option. It could have at least collected interest. I was gone a really, really long time. When it talks about the master being shrewd and reaping where he hasn't sown and gathering where he hasn't scattered, that points to the expectation piece. This is a master who has exceedingly high expectations. But knowing that about his master, he still chose to, for whatever reason, evil or lazy as he's called, did not do anything with the resources he was given. So, take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For everyone who has more will be given, and he will have more than enough. But from the one who does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. And throw this good-for-nothing servant into outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So he's called lazy, wicked. In the end, he's called useless. And what he has been given has been taken and given to the one who had 10 talents. Just because we've been given something by God does not mean it is ours forever. At will, he can give us more. He can take it away. And this scripture clearly shows that when we do not meet God's expectations with our time, our abilities, and our resources, he can simply give it to someone else. You may have witnessed this before, where someone else has been given what somebody else asked for or wanted or belonged to them. because they were a better manager of their resources. We've got to remember, we are not the owner of any of these things. We're not the owner of time. We don't own our abilities. They were given to us. We don't own our resources. They also were given to us, all by God, and they can be taken away just like that. So we have to ask ourselves, okay, first of all, who is this master? That's God. And who are the servants? That's us, Christians. And what are these talents? What do they represent? They represent what we do in the time that we have on earth with our abilities and our resources. Do we use our abilities to further our time and our resources? You know, there are things that we can be doing right now, today, that are going to give us more time, possibly longevity, that are going to invest resources. And he's not talking about investing earthly resources here. He's talking about investing in the kingdom of heaven. So when we get to heaven, God is going to say, okay, how did you further my kingdom with the time that I gave you? What did you do with your time? Did you use your time to promote yourself, to have a good name among men, to have a lot of money, to have material possessions, you know, to be somebody while you were on earth? Or did you further my name? Did the kingdom of heaven grow any on your watch while you were on earth? So think about that. There is such a high standard, such a high expectation when it comes to God. In fact, it is the absolute highest, because the measuring stick is perfection. The measuring stick is Jesus, sinless, perfect. That's the measuring stick. So we'll never get to there, but that's how high the expectation is for us. All right, here it comes. A trend, ever increasing trend. And it's like, I saw it creep up the first half of my career. Now it feels like the momentum is rolling here. It is parents consistently, repeatedly, not all parents, of course, but the parents who do this consistently, repeatedly, in the administrator, teacher's ear, phone, office, classroom, saying, when it comes in regard to expectations, they are saying, my child can't, my child won't, doesn't want to, shouldn't have to, doesn't have time to. They're saying, your expectations are too high. And I'm not talking about just academically. It can be academically, socially. It can be, you know, when it comes to respect, behavior, you name it, okay? The parents are saying, many parents are consistently saying, the expectations are too high. Too high for who? Because generally I find that a child in an environment like school, where everything in that environment is designed to help that child, help them to grow socially, emotionally, academically, physically. Like, that's what we do. And FYI, if your child goes to public school, it's free. All these services are provided for your child for free. So trust me, no one wants to see your child blossom and flourish and grow and succeed more than we do. This past week, I passed a student in 5th grade in the hallway. I knew that tryouts for softball for middle school were coming up. You know, she told me about it. She'd worked hard. She was excited. And we're passing in the hall, and she goes, Miss Lee, I made the softball team. I mean, like, we high-fived, we hugged. It doesn't matter if it's in my class she's succeeding or in the elementary school where I teach that she's succeeding. She is striving, working hard. That fires us up. And it doesn't matter if it's for us or if it's when they're 35 and we see our students do something great. We are in their corner. However, here's what I'm seeing with parents that I referred to earlier about. They're saying expectations are too high. My child can't do this. And here's the message that the child gets every single time. I won't, I can't, I shouldn't have to, I don't want to, I don't have time for. That's the message that they are receiving. And what I see in children who have parents that consistently, challenge expectations or just have disregard for their child and the expectations that are set, that child really either becomes kind of above the law type attitude, well, I don't have to do that. But another thing that comes with that is just an insecurity. Like there are no borders, and they hear their parent saying, my child can't meet that expectation. Of course your child can meet that expectation. They absolutely can. They have to be given time, and that's why we have all these services and people in place to help them, because maybe you didn't today, but guess what? We believe that by the end of the week you can meet that goal. By the end of this semester, that's gonna be no big deal to you anymore. But when it is when it is thwarted and when you put up these roadblocks, that's when the channel for things to flow just becomes blocked. And that thoroughfare and that roadway for children to get to meeting that expectation is no longer an option for them. Now, why am I talking about this when it comes to expectations and the manager of time, of abilities, of resources? Well, because it starts as a child, and as Christians, it's really difficult to teach your child to meet God's expectations, which are way above any, school or parents going to require. But how are they going to feel confident in meeting God's expectations and managing the resources they've been given if they can't be expected to do it in small settings? What does this say? In verse 29, for to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have more than enough. But from the one who does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. Teaching children that expectations are important, that they are there for their good, to help them grow and get to the next level, that is so important. And it's important when we talk about it from a Christian standpoint too. And teaching our children that expectations are there for a reason. We have them because we have the highest standard of all. When we serve the Lord, He has expectations for us. So why wouldn't He put parents and schools and other things in place as a child so that you can learn these things early on? We certainly can't go to work and just expect to, roll in any time, do what we want to, say what we think all the time. We probably wouldn't have that job, right? Expectations are there for a reason, and we serve a God who, thank you, has the highest expectation of all for us, so that when we meet Him, He can say to us, well done, my good and faithful servant. I gave you time, abilities, and I gave you resources to do something with for my kingdom while you were there, and you did it. Come on in. Let's share in my joy. Let's celebrate. Guys, I hope that this devotion has been meaningful to you. Of course, I welcome your feedback. and hope that you guys have an incredible day. Thank you to those who are helping me celebrate 6 years in the ministry and being a part of this channel. I'll see you next week, guys. Enjoy. Get out by the pool. Until then, slow down. Take the dirt road. Believer.